By the end of this video, you might wish you were Richard Cory, but let's hope not, as we find out who did the song best, Simon and Garfunkel, or Them, featuring Van Morrison. Welcome to Acting is Reacting with me, JSB. It is Song War time today, and it's an original versus cover battle, as I'll be listening to Richard Cory, as originally recorded by Simon and Garfunkel, and the cover released soon after as a non-charting single by Van Morrison as part of Them, and then having to decide which is best. So the song originally appeared on Simon and Garfunkel's breakthrough album Sounds of Silence as the opening track of side 2, unless you're in the UK where Homeward Bound was slotted in there. Anyway, this is an album I grew up listening to, so I've known it for a very long time, and the cover has a brief note on the song saying, "Apologies to E.A. Robinson." That always intrigued me, so one day my mum took out her anthology of American poetry and showed me the poem on which it was based. And I'm going to read that poem for you a little bit later, so if that doesn't entice you to stick around, I don't know what will. So that poem was written by E.A. Edwin Arlington Robinson in 1897 and describes a person who was wealthy, well-educated, mannerly, and admired by the people in his town, despite all of which he takes his own life. So the poem was apparently required reading in the English class that both Simon and Garfunkel took at high school, and Simon later adapted it for this song, though utilised his chorus to make the song even darker than the original poem, as we shall hear now. One of the differences, this is stereo, the next one will be mono.
They say that Richard Cory owns one half of this whole town, with political connections to spread his wealth around. Born into society, a banker's only child, he had everything a man could want: power, grace, and style. But I work in his factory, and I curse the life I'm living, and I curse my poverty, and I wish that I could be, oh I wish that I could be, oh I wish that I could be Richard Cory.
This is the sound of folk rock in the mid-60s, ladies and gents.
The papers print this picture almost everywhere he goes. Richard Cory at the opera, Richard Cory at a show, and the rumor of his parties, and the orgies on his yacht. Oh, he surely must be happy.
There's no mention of orgies in the original poem, just putting that out.
But I work in his factory, and I curse the life I'm living, and I curse my poverty, and I wish that I could be, oh I wish that I could be, oh I wish that I could be Richard Cory. He really gave to charity, he had the common touch, and they were grateful for his patronage, and they thanked him very much. So my mind was filled with wonder when the evening headlines read,
Richard Cory went home last night and put a bullet through his head. Yeah. The suicide of the song after this on the album as well.
And I curse the life I'm living, and I curse my poverty, and I wish that I could be, oh I wish that I could be, oh I wish that I could be Richard Cory.
Yeah. So class, compare and contrast as promised and threatened, here is the original poem read by yours truly. Whenever Richard Cory went downtown, we people on the pavement looked at him. He was a gentleman from sole to crown, clean-favoured and imperially slim. And he was always quietly arrayed, and he was always human when he talked, but still he fluttered pulses when he said good morning, and he glittered when he walked. And he was rich, yes, richer than a king, and admirably schooled in every grace. In fine, we thought that he was everything, to make us wish that we were in his place. So on we worked, and waited for the light, and went without the meat, and cursed the bread. And Richard Cory, one calm summer night, went home and put a bullet through his head. So as I say, the chorus about wishing you were Richard Cory takes a darker tone when you find out at the end that he's killed himself. So that's Paul's little touch there. So, of course, the Sounds of Silence album was thrown together very quickly to capitalise on the sudden success of the electric version of the Almost title track. So I don't know if this was something that Paul had lying around or if it was something he just threw together really quickly to make up the numbers for the track listing. Basically, I'm trying to cut him some slack for being so entirely unoriginal for the song. Although Lost Lobos would tell you it wouldn't be the last time he stole a song. We're not getting into that. I do remember reading very long time ago a Paul Simon biography that mentioned other well-known versions of the song, including the one that I knew, which was Denny Lane's take on it on the Wings Over America album. But they stated that the best version of the song is the one we're about to hear, as recorded by Van Morrison and Them. Now, I've somehow managed to get to today without ever hearing this version, so I'm looking forward to that changing right about now.
They say that Richard Cory owns one half of this here town with political connection, spread his wealth around. Born into society, America's only child. If had everything a man could want, Paul, grace, and style. But I work in his factory, and I curse the life I'm living, and I curse my poverty. That I wish that I could be, I wish that I could be, I wish that I could be Richard Cory. Papers, print his pictures almost everywhere he go. Richard Cory at the opera, Richard Cory at the show, and the rumors of his parties and the orgies on his yacht. Well, he's surely not too happy with everything he has got. But I work in his factory, and I curse the life I'm living, and I curse my poverty, and I wish that I could be, I wish that I could be, I wish that I could be Richard Cory. He freely gave to charity and had their common touch. They were grateful for his patronage and thanked him very much. So my mind was filled with wonder when the evening headline read that Richard Cory went home last night and put a bullet through his head. But I work in his factory, and I don't dig the life I'm living, and I don't dig my poverty, and I wish that I could be, and I wish that I could be, and I wish that I could be Richard Cory. I wish that I could be, I wish that I could be, somehow I wish that I could be, just like Richard Cory, just like Richard Cory, Richard Cory, Richard Cory, just like Richard Cory.
All right. Okay, so I thought that that sounded like it was a more up-tempo version of the basically same arrangement as the Simon and Garfunkel original, but then I was doubting myself because I saw that the song length was about the same. But then it all made sense at the end when we get kind of an extra final chorus. And the difference in the vocals is the main difference in the song. And Van is the man. And you really actually believe him when he says he wishes he was Richard Cory. And you can feel the pain that he's living through in this character. Whereas with Paul, it's kind of a more ironic New York kind of take on the whole thing. Now, I'm kind of surprised that they left the mention of the orgies on the yacht, not to keep banging on about those. As a kid, I had no idea what that meant. I think Mum would probably have told me that was just another word for parties, and I would have taken that on board. Also, does this mean it's yacht rock? No, it doesn't. Anyway, yeah, I'm surprised they left it in for a planned single. I thought they might swap it out for something else in lieu of censorship, but they didn't, and then it didn't chart, so maybe they should have done. I don't know. Anyway, it's time for me to pick a winner, and this isn't my favourite Paul Simon tune by any stretch, but it is an interesting one, especially with the connections to that poem. Top version for me is going to be Them, featuring Van Morrison, just because of Van's vocal. I would normally give props to the originator, but in this case, the originator is E.A. Robinson. Um, so, Paul did good work. He turned that poem into a song, but yeah, it wasn't his greatest songwriting effort of all time. So, yeah, Them for the win. So hopefully you like that, and if so, like this video, and of course, subscribe to the channel as well. And if you'd like to see a song war where Paul Simon definitely wins, well, see what I thought of America versus American Tune that away. Or over there's something else that YouTube thinks you'd like. So it's just bye for now, but I hope not for long.
Acting is reacting. This does not mean acting again.